you're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and of course we're talking about the opulence, and you can see a number of choppers on air. Yes, this was yesterday during the funeral of the late Nyeri Governor Derito Gachagua. Quite a number of choppers, and the field I hear had more than 16 choppers. Most of them, of course, apart from, because the president arrived in 2 choppers, military choppers. Raila had his own chopper, but quite a number of county governors arrived there in choppers. So I'm assuming outside this space, the 3 gentlemen have also could have parked their choppers as well. Because now 38 governors went there. Those who didn't have choppers had at least 5 vehicles, and this is a kind of opulence that everyone is seeing, and probably no one is talking about. That you are getting to spend too much money, yet at the county level you still complain that no, the allocation to the counties should be a lot more. That what you're getting now is not enough. Yet you're seeing this kind of opulence. I'm sure none of those governors use their own money to pay for those choppers. It must be the county funds.
Yeah. Look at it in terms of facilitation. What kind of facilitation do you need to do your job? Now, Nyeri could be a 12-hour journey from Marsabit. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying the governor of Marsabit came with a chopper because I don't know.
Yes.
But can a governor spend better time or use his time better than being on the road for 12 hours to go for a function that lasts 4 hours? It depends. Everybody manages their time differently. Yeah. So depending on your job, depending on what needs to be done, maybe you needed to come for the funeral and be somewhere else very quickly.
I'm imagining most of them had to travel back to Naivasha for the devolution conference.
Yeah, and travel here and everything. And you know, I'll give you an example of myself. In December of 2014, the governor of Nairobi was out of the country, so I was acting in for him. The president had Jamhuri Day in Nairobi in December, and he had visiting 4 heads of state. So he asked me, as the acting governor of Nairobi, can you go to the airport at 4:30 p.m. and pick up my visiting state guest, the president from Ghana, His Excellency John Mahama. Then he told me, and at 4:45 I need you in Kibera, I'm launching the NYS project. So I looked at the president and I told him, how do I get from the airport to Kempinski to take your guest back to Kibera and arrive in time to... And he says, no, but that's why you need cars to clear the road for you. And we'll tell the police commissioner to make sure the roads are cleared. Now, if you, at Citizen TV, saw the road being cleared for the deputy governor running from the airport to Kempinski to take a state guest of the president, and then from there running to another work function at Kibera, so I could receive the president who was doing another NYS project in Nairobi, and I needed to do that as standing in for my boss, what would you have said? Opulence? That why is the road being cleared against that? No, that's what needed to be done for me to do my job at that time.
Question, how many vehicles do you, and I'm sure I've asked this question again because it's been a subject of headlines.
Yes.
How many vehicles are on your convoy, on your entourage? Whenever you move, like again, when you came to Naivasha, how many vehicles did you?
It depends on where I'm going. Coming to Naivasha, I came in 1.
Just 1?
Yeah. But it depends.
No chase car?
It depends. Again, there's different situations where you need different things. I could be going to an area, for example, if a building collapses in Nairobi, there's hundreds of people who are trapped in the building. It becomes a very volatile area in terms of security. Do you expect me to go by myself? But I need to be there to do my job. I need to be there to show that political face to the citizens and tell them, listen, I'm here, I'm your leader, yes, we are responsible for buildings, we're going to investigate what's going on, keep calm, the situation is under control, different agencies are working together. You don't expect me to go by myself. That's now endangering my life. And the moment you as a human being feel that doing your job is a danger to your life, guess what you do? You sit back and say, probably I'm not going to do my job, it's a risk to my life. So in different situations where you have to act differently, I wouldn't call it opulence, I'd just call it
necessity.
Facilitation to be able to do your job properly.
Bwana Gitonga, Laikipia also has its own issues in terms of security.
Yes, it does.
And I do not know, do you experience the same challenges as Bwana Mweke? I'm sure.
Well, I must say Mweke is one of the deputies who is working well with his governor. For me, obviously, I have one vehicle, which when it goes to service, I use my personal car. And that has been the case for the last many years.
Does it have anything to do with your not-so-good relationship with the governor?
But of course. Yes. I mean, I don't understand why someone should have 5 cars when the deputy has one vehicle. Every time you travel, there's always the risk of having something happen to a vehicle, and when you don't have any other means of even calling another vehicle to come to the rescue, we must appreciate that the seat of deputy governor is not a personal seat. It is it's a government seat, and you represent a whole lot of people. So it should not have anything to do with our relationship. It should have everything to do with the constitutional mandate. But allow me to say also that I think we should always do a cost-benefit analysis, because when we started this whole devolution process, it was very rare to find governors having all these choppers. But I think over time, we're beginning to see a certain trend. And I want to believe that out of the 16 choppers, probably 4 or 5 may not have been very, very necessary. But I want to believe that every governor has used this cost-benefit analysis and seen that it is more beneficial to the county to have them use a chopper. But I must confess that most of these funds are actually from the county.
Yes. And of course, later in the day we'll be looking and checking out the parking lot here at KWS Training Institute to just see how many. Of course, we expect 6,000 delegates to attend this conference, 47 governors, including their entourages, and that is going to make the biggest chunk of those in attendance. What has been your experience in this year? How many vehicles did you come with, or how many choppers did you fly with to Naivasha?
We hardly fly choppers in Busia. We go by road. Easy way of meeting the people. I have 2 cars that I use at my convenience. One is a small car that can't be off-road. One is an off-road vehicle. But given the circumstances of duty, there are vehicles in the county available for my use, but assigned to different departments for their use. As and when I require an additional vehicle, I can borrow a vehicle from any other department for my use. And we have not, as a county in Busia, experienced any opulence. Our CECs also just use either their personal vehicles or vehicles assigned to their departments, not for personal use, but for duty.
What about the governor for Busia? In Laikipia, we understand he has 5 vehicles plus. For example, when the governor of Busia travels to a conference like this one, how many cars, what number of people does he travel with?
Well, the number of people depends on the function. That one, as said by Mweke, it depends on the function and the need to either provide for your own security or the distance that you are traveling. But the governor of Busia has 2 cars. Has 2 cars that he uses most of the time. And as I said, if there is need and he needs to travel with more people, then we will borrow on vehicles from other departments to be able to make him discharge the duty that he has to do.
Okay. But Fred, also, have you seen the convoy of the governor from Mandera, Captain Robert? I mean, surely you can't blame him for moving around in a convoy like that. Al-Shabaab have tried to kill him 4 or 5 times. You can't sit down and say that, this governor has so many cars. I don't know how much his convoys, but I know he travels in a very serious convoy, even armed security. So The other day when Governor Joho was having a problem in Mombasa, and I think it was either Kaiseri or somebody who says that now no police vehicles should escort any governors and no. I mean, what happens to a governor of Mandera? You're pretty much telling him you cannot leave your house and work, because unless he has convoy including police with guns outside the windows, the guy can't do any work.
Well, I guess there definitely are instances that require that kind of security. And I want us now to move to other headlines, because we need to look at the headlines of the day even away from the devolution conference. We'll come back to the devolution conference and discuss what exactly we do expect from this conference that started yesterday. It's a 4-day conference attended by at least 6,000 delegates, all 47 county governors, plus the CECs, MCAs, 46 now deputy governors. The senators, I do understand, have finally agreed to attend this conference, unlike the one held last year in Meru where they boycotted. The government CSs will be here as well. We expect CS for devolution and planning, Mwangi Kunjuri, as well to be in attendance. And they just form part of the 6,000 delegates who will be attending these discussions, this forum, up until Thursday this week. Now, quite a number of political headlines as well, and but the other big story that forms a very huge part of our news this morning is on the front page of the Daily Nation, and has to do with the situation in Laikipia. And of course, Laikipia, there's been a lot of fighting between ranchers and illegal herders who invaded the ranches, and of course it came the matter blew up this week when one of the ranchers was shot dead, and he's a gentleman who has both Kenyan and British nationality. And we are privileged to have the Deputy Governor for Laikipia County with us. And just give us, describe the situation for us, because apart from what we are seeing on the headlines, I'm sure you understand the situation much better.
Yes, absolutely. Laikipia is one place where we have quite a number of ranches, which occupy almost about 45% of the county. So we have these ranches, and they're big.
And they're private owned.
And they are private owned. There are also something we call group ranches, which are owned by communities, but they own them as a group. So there are quite a number of ranches. Allow me to say this situation is being affected by four things. The number one factor is the drought. What happens during drought is that our neighboring counties will then drive their cattle towards Laikipia, because they feel that these ranches can be able to provide the animal feed they're looking at. The only problem usually is that when they come in, they don't quite negotiate with the owners of the ranches so that they are allowed in on certain terms. Usually they force themselves in. So the issue of drought is what triggers this problem. The other problems that then come in is the land ownership issues, there are political issues, and obviously there are always criminals who ride on this kind of situations. So four things: the drought, the land matters, land ownership issues, the criminals who come in through, and the other factor which I just mentioned, the politics.
Yes, now when it comes to politics, so what could be at play here politically, because group ranches and people from neighboring counties, how is it a political thing?
Politics, because sometimes some of the politicians would make some statements which incite some of the herders to believe that they can do what they are doing with impunity. And that is a big problem.
So the herders are made to believe that they can actually occupy these privately owned ranches,
go in and feed their cattle, and then they can take them out at will. Which essentially, when you have private owned land, it is a very bad thing to do. So our political statements do fuel some of these problems. And you find that when the herders come in to a tune of about 200,000 head of cattle, and that's when we are trying now to deal with the problem, then it becomes a big issue.
When you talk about these ranches, because perhaps our viewers don't understand just how big a ranch should be for an illegal herders to bring their livestock numbering in 200,000?
Yes.
How big a ranch is a normal ranch there?
A ranch would range anything from 6,000 acres right through to 100,000 acres.
100,000
acres.
600,000 acres. 600 acres.
No, 100,000 acres. It can range from 6,000 acres for the smaller ranches. They go to 20,000 acres. Some go to up to 100,000 acres. And that's a single ranch.
100,000 acres should be bigger than
some of the counties.
Some
Yes,
counties that we
yes,
have.
absolutely.
And that's just one ranch.
Yeah, that's just one ranch. But you understand, Laikipia is an ASAL. It's an ASAL county, arid and semi-arid land. So some of these economic activities of ranching are the only activities that can actually make economic sense in Laikipia. So it's not out of the ordinary to find a ranch of 100,000 acres. However, allow me to say some of these problems can be sorted out. It is not all us. In fact, we have never reached a place where we have received travel advisories from some countries which are saying you cannot go to Laikipia, like the UK. I think at some point almost issued that travel advisory.
Because we do understand some of these ranches also double up as conservancies and tourist destinations.
Yes, but you must also appreciate that Laikipia provides that facility which allows Kenya to be very proud of tourism, which is a serious foreign currency earner for this country. So it's not all bad to have these ranches and these conservancies, because Kenya as a country benefits quite a lot. What I'm saying is that the government should provide a platform, and I must say there has been a lapse there, because we didn't make noise as a county when we should have, when the very first herd of cattle came through. 200,000 cattle down the line is when everybody is trying to
So
talk.
the security agencies were slow in response?
Yes, there was slow in response, but also probably the county government did not raise the alarm when they should have raised that alarm.
Now, because we do understand that drought is not a new problem. It's been there before, and I'm sure some of these things that we are seeing in Laikipia must have been witnessed previously as well.
Yes.
Is it that this time around it's too severe, or is it what has changed really for it to get this bad? Because drought is cyclic. We know if we have drought this year, probably in the next 4 or 5 years it will happen again, and you'll see the same herders coming back, trooping back to Laikipia. What happened differently this time around?
The incoming of the new government, the devolution system, obviously transferred some of the security responsibility on the governor. I want to say here categorically that I think the governor slightly slept on his job, because he should have raised this issue long before it became.
So are you saying that this is probably one of those negative effects, or not so positive, if I may call it that, effects of devolution? That when the county government is supposed to take over the security of a county, there could be a lapse here and there.
You see, lapses on a system does not mean the whole system is bad. Devolution is the best thing that could have happened to this country. The fact that some of us did not manage to occupy our positions properly and do what we needed to do does not make devolution a bad thing. It's like throwing, basically discarding your car simply because you have a tire burst. You cannot do that. You fix the tire burst and you move on the journey that you.
Yet security is a national function.
So devolution is a good thing. The fact that some of these problems have arisen because we have devolved system does not mean devolution is bad. I want to make that very clear. And like I said before, we are learning on the job, some of us, and you're definitely going to see some of these problems until we all are able to understand devolution. But that doesn't make devolution a bad thing.
You're hoping to become governor of Laikipia if you got the job. How differently would you handle this situation?
The very number one thing is to provide that platform for negotiation. If you come to the ground, what is lacking is negotiation, whereby the herders sit on one side, the ranchers sit on the other side. You provide that platform and agree on a formula of how you can allow them to graze their cattle without creating tension. You can also enter into an agreement with the ranchers and agree to create a buffer stock for the herds of cattle, which you can grow when there's rain, and then use that feed to provide for the cattle when there's drought. When you don't have these mitigating processes, that's when you have these problems.
Okay.
Yeah. So as governor for Laikipia, I will make sure that I provide that platform. I'll raise this issue before it becomes a big issue, before it gets out of hand. I will negotiate with the ranchers to provide feed when there is plenty as a buffer stock for when there's little.
Okay, that's when he becomes governor. If you'll get that. If the Laikipia people decide to give you that job.
Absolutely.
As it is right now, a security operation is currently underway in Laikipia. Of course, following the killing of one rancher. I'm looking for his name yet, Mr. Tristan Vosfoy, from the 24,000-acre Sosian Ranch.
Sosian Ranch.
Yes. Now, this security operation that started this week, 379 illegal herders have already been arrested and some of their cattle confiscated. Of course, it continues, and we just hope that the situation in Laikipia will improve as we move on. Let's now look at some politics. And one of the headlines, I think it's on the page 5 of the Daily Nation. 3 Wajir lawmakers have quit the Orange Party. Yes, this is what could amount to hemorrhage. 3 MPs from one region. Would you call it that, Wanamweke?
No. Well, it's that season where people are making political realignments. It's been 5 years. Dynamics have changed on the ground. You notice Wajir is in northeastern, and the politics there is mainly driven by the clans. So the clans sit together and they decide whom they're going to support. They call it negotiated democracy, but really their word is law. You saw even a few months ago the clans in Mandera sat down and also said that Governor Roba, you've done your term, we're thinking something different this time. So I guess that's what could have happened in Wajir, and maybe the clans came together and say that you were in ODM last time, now you're going to go to Jubilee because that's where we want to shift our allegiance for 1 or 2 reasons. But that being said, Freddie, it doesn't mean that another clan could also say that we are in NASA. Yeah, and most of the time you'll find the different clans competing against each other, and the biggest clan sometimes wins, sometimes an alliance or a coalition of the smaller clans come together and they defeat the big clan. So, you know, I'm not quite sure what happened in Wajir because I don't understand the clan politics of Wajir very much, but don't rule out Wajir from the NASA, because there could be other machinations that are happening with other clans who also have their own lineup, and competition could go even back our way.
Now, for the benefit of the viewers, let's just give more details about the story. 3 Wajir ODM lawmakers yesterday led the Degodia community to the Jubilee Party, saying they can no longer continue being in the opposition. Now, the 3 MPs are Aidan Kainan Welie, Mohammed Ibrahim Elmi, and Abbas Sheikh Mohammed. The leaders, who included 15 MCAs led by their speaker, Bishar Omar, said their decision to join the ruling party has been informed by the development agenda, and it goes on and on and on and on. Now, the other headline there, and probably this one hits home, Wiper leaders hit back at Joho for remarks. Of course, Joho declared, or rather announced the coastal region as an ODM region.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where this leaves you, because now the leaders responding to the Mombasa governor are from your party. You're in a similar coalition arrangement. Not similar, you're in this arrangement in Nairobi where you work for an ODM governor. You're from the Wiper party. Yet in Mombasa, they're fighting day in, day out. Wiper senator now wants to unseat an ODM governor. Yes. Then we see Makwere, who moved from an ambassadorial appointment job, moved to ODM, then now is in Wiper. Now, how does this work within the NASA formation, even for you who's in Nairobi? When it's not working elsewhere, how do you expect it to work in Nairobi for you?
Depends on the dynamics again. You know, politics is very local. So it depends on the dynamics of that local area. In Nairobi, even from experience, we've seen that a coalition works between the parties. So NASA in Nairobi has decided that we are going to run as NASA. We're going to do joint nominations as NASA. And with that, it makes us much stronger than Jubilee, and we're able to carry the Nairobi seat easily. In areas like Mombasa, I think Governor Joe had a slip of the tongue. He probably wanted to say that Mombasa or the coastal region is an opposition zone, not an ODM zone. And why do I say that? Is even in Mombasa County itself, the senator is from Wiper. We have 2 members of parliament from Wiper, which is Twale Bali, and we have Hezron Awiti of Nyali and of Jomvu, consecutively. So it's neither here nor there. It's just sibling rivalry. But the strategy really for NASA is, in areas that NASA controls, will allow the sibling rivalry, and in area where we need each other, then we'll field one joint candidate and face the opposition as or the opponents as one force. Now in Mombasa, the same thing happened in 2013. We had a very strong gubernatorial candidate for Wiper, which was Wana Shabal, and Wiper and ODM competed, and ODM took the governor's position. Now Senator Hassan Omar, the Secretary General of Wiper, was our candidate for Wiper, and the candidate for ODM was the vice chairman then of ODM, Kajembe, and Senator Omar won. Yeah. So what's important here is the seats remained in the Code coalition, and so it's going to be the same thing.
I just think it might actually work in the opposite, that it could work into, it could just play into Jubilee's hands.
Jubilee doesn't have the numbers, because Jubilee, I mean, a principle,
even with all these divisions,
one principle, I'll give you a good example. A principle, Najib Balala, who was probably arguably the most senior coast politician at that time. When he moved to Jubilee, he was a principal. There were 4 of them: the president, the deputy president, Charity Ngilu, and himself. He could not even come number 2 to the position of senator. He came, I think, number 3 or number 4. So it's really an opposition zone, and it's sibling rivalry, not confusion. That's happening.
Bwana Kizito Wangalo, of course, you are in ODM. In Busia, you do not have this kind of problems, but probably from outside looking in, and I'm sure you can give a perspective on what is happening. Do you think this zoning that also headlines on the front page of the Star, NASA zones Kenya to avoid local party wars, do you think this zoning will work? Do you think NASA can come up with a perfect formula to create perfect zones such to prevent a fallout? Because what's happening in Mombasa, however much Bonamweke may say is positive, it looks like a proper fallout.
For me, it's not a fallout. Right now is a season for people shifting alliances, and therefore what has happened in Wajir is not strange. It happens, and as rightly said, some people will move to a different direction, others will move to occupy their space, and therefore as people move to Jubilee, we are going to also attract people of similar weight or even bigger weight into our formation for us to recapture the seats that we had, and that's the philosophy. For zoning, is the reality of the politics that there are regions in this country that we will try to fight, but we might not win, but we'll put up a fight. There are areas that are known that the local politics is pro-ODM, pro-NASA, and we'll defend those positions with all the might. We may be in opposition now, but August 8th, we are forming government. That is what we are looking for.
What about the intra-fighting within NASA, especially with Wiper? Joint nominations, they say no to joint nominations, but as Bonamweke says, in Nairobi there will be joint nominations. I don't know how true that is, because the Wiper has come out saying there will be no joint nominations at all.
There are scenarios. For example, in Busia. In Busia, we know that go to Jubilee and you have it very rough. So it's a safe zone for us.
Do you have, for example, have Ford Kenya
yes, we have Ford Kenya candidates
who are seeking the county governor's job?
We have Ford Kenya candidates. We have ANC candidates who are seeking governor, senator, women rep, MPs, and so for us, we are competing.
So there will be no joint nomination. Every party will go.
Let everybody have his chance. And whoever wins, as long as they are within the NASA formation, we are safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Bona Kabugi, anything to add on to this NASA debate? You being from Jubilee.
I was really hoping you would ask that. If you didn't, I would have asked that you ask that question. Interesting when I hear NASA people saying that Jubilee is going to lose in August. And interesting because the numbers that we are talking about clearly speak of a win for Jubilee. it's good to be ambitious, and I know it's important to be ambitious because one of the things that makes us move is hope. But allow me to dash some of these hopes, because if you add all the votes that these people could garner in the previous elections and you sum them up, they still have a long way to go in terms of getting where Jubilee is. It's very unfortunate because I know they are hopeful. I know they want to form the next government, but allow me to just say Jubilee will take it.
Yes.
Very early in the day.
I'm sure Bonamuike will want to respond to that.
Well, trust me, some of the things that you see happening right now is a sign that Jubilee are scared. You've seen propaganda on some of our leaders in the headlines that their foundations have been closed, other propaganda that people are defecting. Well, there's nothing like that. Other propaganda that we don't have presidential candidates, so we are useless. But, you know, IEBC rules are very clear, nomination rules, that parties will nominate their presidential candidates by May 30th. So why is court being rushed? Let us take our time. We know what our strategy is. Actually, NASA. Yeah, you know, we're just in transition, so there's a slip of a tongue every now and then. But you know what? Tumejipanga, and that's the key thing. And about joint nominations in Nairobi, trust me, I sit in some of these places where the decisions are made. And in Nairobi, we've already agreed, even the candidate is agreed that it's going to be the governor and myself. So we are ahead of the game.
So joint nominations in Nairobi.
Properly. So joint nominations in Nairobi.
Okay.
So the same confusion that is being alluded to at national level is the confusion in Nairobi. They are already set. We have a candidate for governor. They have a candidate for deputy governor. Jubilee has no candidate. Yes. So it's the same scenario.
Okay. Let's switch gears now. You wanted to add something about the politics?
I just say it's good to be hopeful.
Yes.
Definitely the track record for the Jubilee government has been very good. Clearly, when we talk of not having a candidate for Nairobi, I think Nairobi is the only place where we're experiencing that. But you can see definitely they're going to sit down and they're going to do something about this. But overall, we all know that numbers don't lie, and come August 8th, Jubilee will take the next government.
But DG Laikipia, how do you sit down and you're shooting each other with guns? The song Peter Kenneth gun
before the glance come off.
I wonder, Fred Indimuli, we see Interior Minister Nkaiseri talking very tough about politicians and violence and hate speech and everything. Why has it been so quiet about the gun drama between Sonko and Peter Kenneth and Dennis Waweru?
Well,
is it partisan or what is? Because we can't have
it's just like we
blew
see
guns, they shot at each other,
the
and
court
they're not in
principal
jail.
talking heavy on corruption, but he's silent when court governance are corrupt.
in the same vein, in the same vein,
we really cannot take that direction.
Now that you've gone there,
really cannot
do you think the response by CS Nkaiseri, probably not Nairobi politics, but maybe even the situation in Laikipia, that he's probably been vocal enough in terms of handling the situation?
But you realize that security matters don't depend on how vocal you become. Security matters depends on NSIS reports. There are some things you don't even say, because the moment you say them, it jeopardizes the whole process.
So you believe his handling of the situation in Laikipia has been up?
Yes, he's doing it well, considering the problem on the ground is huge. Yes.
I think Nkaiseri lost it when he left ODM and went to Jubilee. He lost what he wanted to do.
Of course, it's good to be hopeful, and I'm sure you understand that, Fred.
You know, we're talking about the Laikipia issues. There are many issues that are happening over security matters that Nkaiseri and the Inspector General seem to be asleep. Okay. I'll give you two examples. In Busia, we have a police station that was burned down, a chief's office burned down by the citizens, and we have had a statement from the Nkaiseri. I have had a statement from the Inspector General of Police. There was an AP camp that was stoned, a chief's office that was stoned. Now, those are two incidents of insecurity that required attention from the topmost organ, the topmost leaders of this country. So there are very many isolated incidents of insecurity happening around the country and Kaiseri seems to be mesmerized by his position as CS, and therefore has become a Jubilee propagandist instead of playing his role as the head of the security apparatus.
Allow me to change the debate, because I don't want to let the security debate become an ODM or a NASA versus Jubilee affair. So let's come back and discuss other headlines of national importance, and one of them is on the last page of the Daily Nation. MPs in plot to pocket 2 billion shillings send-off packs. Now, of course, people have been discussing this. MPs are claiming that their term should end in March next year, and so between August, when the elections happen, and March, the 7-8 months thereof, they claiming the salaries. And the Parliamentary Service Commission has budgeted to spend 2.4 billion on the severance pay for lawmakers. Now, of course, people thought that it's just a matter of debate and it's just a matter of conjecture. People are just talking about it, but now it's really happening. That the Parliamentary Service Commission has put it in their budget, the 2.4 billion shillings on the severance for the severance pay of lawmakers, and this could actually happen, meaning that senators will be paid 410 million shillings, while their National Assembly counterparts are to get a total of 1.9 billion shillings. Now, do you agree with them? Because I'm sure even at county level, I've seen a number of counties even working out severance packages, send-off packs for governors, for their deputies, for even paying former councillors. Like I think the situation in Nyamira, the county assembly was even debating something like that. In terms of the county level, are you even discussing send-off packs?
No, we are not, because that is a function of the SRC, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and they already have guidelines on the same. So for the counties, the guidelines are that you'll get a gratuity of 31% for every year worked, and that's been normal in public office, and those are the guidelines. So there is also legislation that says county legislation cannot conflict or override national legislation. So I think the counties that are reportedly doing that kind of legislation will probably be overtaken by events, because the guidelines are clear, and the Salaries Commission is the one that decides the packs that people get for retirement.
For example, the situation in Nyamira, where the county assembly has gone ahead and even debated, they've even started debate on a motion to pay a certain amount of money to former councillors. Is that just another case of misunderstanding of their role?
I think it is, and to agree with what the Deputy Governor of Nairobi has said, that is an event that's going to be overtaken because it contravenes the national law, and we are under SRC. The MPs, on the other hand, managed to wriggle themselves out of the SRC, and I think this is a wait-and-see case, and we are going to see some advice from the Attorney General on matters law on this particular one. But you understand, in all systems, they have to be tested, pushed around, and see the size of the envelope before we can settle down. And these are some of the things that come along with political maturity, I think.
But history, we can refer to history. The National Assembly has always been able to muscle its way through salary hikes and all these things. Now the Parliamentary Service Commission has already budgeted for this issue. Of course, the central government depends on the National Assembly to pass its budget as well, and this will be one of those issues. Don't you think we are as good as done, that MPs have had their way?
Well, when we came into office, we knew that the next election is going to be on the second Tuesday in the 5th year, in August in the 5th year, and the 5th year commenced on 4th of March. So we knew that our term is not going to be a full 5 years, and the Constitution so says. And therefore, anybody going around to start claiming that we need to be compensated for our unfinished term did not read the Constitution. And therefore, for me, the motion, the send-off package is ill-advised, and how I wish our brothers and sisters in the National Assembly or in Parliament just accept the reality that we need a lot more to do with our money than to give ourselves send-off packs.
Yes, well, the headline on the back page of the Daily Nation seems to suggest something else, that it was good as done. MPs implore to pocket 2 billion of tax, and the Parliamentary Service Commission has already budgeted for the same. Now, we need to wrap up our news review this morning, and of course now let's talk about the devolution conference that kicked off yesterday. As deputy governors, of course, you've been watching, you've been attending all the annual conferences. The first one that happened in Kwale, second one in Kisumu, last year in Meru, and now this one, which will be the final or the last devolution conference before the next election. So probably next devolution conference, maybe most of you won't be here, or some of you, or all of you could be back for this. But in terms of looking back at the first, we could call it transitional term, or the first pioneer term of governors and devolution, how much do you think you've achieved? Do you think we've done it right? Do you think we could have done better? Or do you think we actually really improved? Because yesterday they said probably by 2014 we did not think that we could have done all this. We seem to have done much better than we hoped. Is that the case?
There's been several fasts in different counties. I think devolution has transformed lives. Devolution really was an idea whose time had come, and while we've had challenges, and the biggest challenges really is transfer of functions and resources from the national government down to the counties, has been arguably the biggest challenge that we've been able to see. The second challenge that we've seen also in devolution is the misunderstanding of people's roles. We spoke about that earlier. What's the National Assembly supposed to do? What's the County Assembly supposed to do? What's the function of the executive and the county? You saw we started with a very serious, but I think for myself, uncalled for issue as soon as the governors came in. And the issue was not how we're going to drive devolution forward, but the issue was, are they supposed to be called His Excellency? Are they supposed to fly a flag? Is a first lady, county first lady, a county first lady? And I thought that was some of the wrong footing. That being said, though, the successes overshadow completely some of these challenges, because what you've done now is you've taken resources directly to the people. You've allowed the people to have a say of what they need. So it's no longer about what the leader wants anymore when it comes to matters development and service delivery. It's what do the people need, and we've seen that. We've got the county assemblies that for the most part have kept the governors and their government's executive on their toes in terms of oversight and ensuring that the people get represented. So I think devolution has worked. In Nairobi, I'll tell you, because Nairobi is where everybody comes together from all corners of the country, and really they come together to look for a better life. So business, employment is a big thing for us in Nairobi, and what we've done is we've looked at some of the things that enable business and enhanced them. Number one, for you to be able to work is your health. So we've gone and we've taken 17 or so healthcare centers, made them 24 hours and ensured they're functional, they're fully staffed, and they have medicine. Yes. And that has really increased productivity for the people in Nairobi to move forward.
Hold that thought, because now, and some of the accusations that have been leveled against this conference is that governors and their deputies have been using this as a campaign platform, that you come and just say, enumerate, the way the deputy governor is enumerating some of the progress made in Nairobi, that you just come here to massage your egos, that this is just a holiday for governors and their deputies to come here and chest thump and say this is what we've done. Is that what we expect from this conference, Bwana Kabugi?
Good question, in the sense that you're asking whether that's what we're in this conference. But allow me to say, even from the Kwale conference, that is not the case. Devolution conference, number one, brings together everybody to actually appreciate what it is that the devolution has done. And number two, to even identify some of the fundamental problems that are being experienced across the county, so that we can share ideas and move this whole devolution thing forward. Devolution as a whole, when you think about the basis on which it was formed, was to bring services closer to the people. And to that extent, I think devolution has really succeeded. He has spoken of a lot of fast, and also to spread the resources and development. And with another kitty called the equalization kitty, even to jumpstart and fast track some of the counties that have been left and marginalized for a long time across the years. So in that respect, I think devolution has really worked. In fact, in a scale of 1 to 10, from a county perspective, devolution has scored very highly, like almost 90%, because it has actually brought services to the people. You must also understand that this whole thing of leadership has been spread across the country. Before devolution, when a president is announced, there was a lot of desperation in counties that were not considered as pro-government. But today, every time there's a winning, even for whichever president, the people of various areas don't feel shortchanged and left out, because they have a governor who they see as their president. And in that respect, I think devolution has worked very well.
But is that therefore what we expect, Bwana Kizito Ngalwa, that we just be talking about the successes of devolution day 1, day 2, and day 3, even as we wind up our news review this morning? Are we just expecting to talk about the successes? Are we going to leave enough room to discuss about the challenges as well, and the problems, including relationships now between governors and their deputies, about the CECs and the county assemblies?
The discussion is about all matters devolution, and principle among them is how do we make devolution work better, looking at the challenges that we have faced over the years. Every year we explore that. What challenges are we facing in different sectors, and how do we therefore move forward? And this conference brings together the national government, the county government, and other players, the donor community and NGOs. They are here to listen into the story of devolution, to hear about the challenges that we are facing. And therefore, the conversation is about how do we make devolution work better. And for me, the bottom line is the people are taking charge of their destiny, and that for me is what devolution is all about, that we do not expect something to come from elsewhere to come and help us, but we need to mobilize ourselves to make things work. And therefore we are competing among ourselves. No county wants to be left behind, and therefore the leadership of the county is geared towards mobilizing the people to a platform to have discussions, a conversation that takes the county forward. And that is what devolution is all about.
Well, thank you so much, Bwana Kizito Ngalwa, Deputy Governor, Busia County. We've also had Bwana Gitonga Kabugi, Deputy Governor, Laikipia County, and Jonathan Mweke, Deputy Governor, Nairobi County. Of course, Power Breakfast, the news review has been coming to you from Naivasha County on the sidelines of the 4th edition of the annual Devolution Conference, this time being hosted at the Kenya Wildlife Service Training Institute in Naivasha, Nakuru County. Now, of course, we'll be giving you momentary updates on the happenings here. The conference is about to kick off. We also do expect the head of state, President Uhuru Kenyatta, to come and officially open this 4-day conference which kicked off yesterday. And from the news review team, that's me and my panelists. It's good morning. My name is Fred Indemole. We'll be back to you later.
Thank you.